Good morning and welcome to chilly London. It's Saturday morning. Talk about the testing I'm going to do this weekend, which is a little bit different this weekend. I'm going to do a race both on the Saturday and the Sunday to test out the Adios Pro 1 versus the Adios Pro 2. Basically having a bit of a lull after a marathon, no massive targets at the moment, so it'll be a bit of fun to go and do a couple of races. And the two shoes I think are quite interesting to compare because I think we've all seen actually quite a lot of elites are still using the Adios Pro 1. And in our kind of testing, I kind of felt that maybe the Adios Pro 1 had a bit more kind of zip to it and some shorter stuff. But so we're going to put it to the test with a couple of races this weekend, one shoe on each day, basically. So first day today, Saturday morning, I'm going to go do a 10K in Victoria Park in London. It's going to be nice and flat, little 3-loop 10K. And I'm using the Adios Pro 1 for this today. And then tomorrow I've got kind of a local hilly half marathon, the Roding Valley half marathon, which is not going to be particularly fast, but it should be quite a nice test of the Adios Pro 2 kind of on tired legs and just see how it performs in race conditions. I should say I'm not expecting to be incredibly fast in either of these races, but it'd be interesting to see how these shoes go, under race conditions and how they compare to each other. So yeah, looking forward to it. I'm going to have a bit of fun. So before we dive into the races, a quick word on the two shoes. So the Adios Pro 2, kind of one of the really clear differences is that big midsole cutout you have on the shoe, which maybe cuts a bit of weight, although I think they pretty much weigh very similar amounts, I think, as far as I can tell. Overall, it seems just maybe a more built-up shoe. It's got a wider heel base, maybe a little bit more cushioning in the stack, and for me, it feels maybe a little bit more cruisy. It's got a very nice transition. I think transition's a bit smoother on the Adios Pro 2 when you're running at kind of longer race paces, but I have found, like during my testing, that I quite like the Adios Pro 1 for shorter stuff. Maybe it's a little bit snappier and it feels a bit more connected at fast speeds, perhaps because it doesn't have that big midsole cutout. But yeah, they're both really strong, impressive shoes, and I'm interested to see how they perform at races. The only thing also is the Adios Pro 1 seems a little bit, it gets me a bit more excited when I see it. Like I look at it more as a kind of a really punchy, exciting racing shoe, and I don't get that quite sense of from the Adios Pro 2, but we'll see if that changes over the course of the weekend with these two races. Right, I'm off now to run the 10K. All right, first race of the weekend done. Nice little 10K, Vicky Park, around I think 33, fairly consistent pace. Dropped off a bit in the second half, but felt okay, a bit tired out there. Some guy came through, running a nice little leg split to take the win, so I was second. Yeah, so the shoe didn't wow me, the Adidas one today, but I think it produced pretty solid goods. So I'm not really exactly on it right now. I can feel that I haven't really got much strength in the legs at times, but when I reached towards the end of the race, reached for a bit of pace to see if I had anything in there and really focused. There was pace in the shoe. It did have a bit of bounce, did kind of, protect the legs as you'd hope for from these super shoes. And I think there's certainly a decent set of shoes there. Maybe not the best runner in them today. So I quite enjoyed them. I'll be hoping for maybe a bit more kind of squish and protection from the Adios Pro 2 tomorrow. I'm hoping that towards the end of the race there, those shoes look at me fresher, a bit more kind of stronger, even though it's obviously the second race and the back-to-back. But yeah, so I think these shoes are fast, but I'm not sure that you get as much kind of shoe protection from them as maybe some other super shoes, so that, they didn't, they felt like I was hitting the legs fairly hard in that race, even over just 10K. And I'm wondering if there might be a bit more protection in the Adios Pro 2 tomorrow. We'll see. But yeah, they're certainly, they're still good shoe. Obviously all these shoes are very good shoes, but I'm hoping for maybe a bit more on kind of protection and then kind of late race strength tomorrow, when I'll probably go out at a pretty steady pace and give myself a chance to kind of recover a bit. Okay, second race of the weekend. I'm here at Woodford Green Athletics Club, Ashton Playing Field, for the Roding Valley Half Marathon. I feel like I recovered pretty well from yesterday, but the aim today is to start off pretty cautiously, hopefully build into the race and try and speed up for the second half. It's going to be quite a hard race to judge because it's hilly. It's a really up and down race. I think we do kind of one small lap, then 2 long laps, and on the long laps there's, I don't know, it's like 70-80 metres of uphill, and it's basically going up or downhill the whole time, so it'll be fun just to try and see if I can pace this correctly and finish strongly. Got the Adios Pro 2s on, and in a real twist yesterday I managed to acquire For those who've seen the Adios Pro 2 full review, I've been using a size 10 of that shoe, anyone can get hold of. Normally I'm a size 9, and yesterday I managed to acquire a size 9 pair of Adios Pros 2, so actually they're box fresh today for the race and in my right size, so should be fun to use them. Nippy morning, gonna go and do a little bit of a warm-up, and then yeah, we kick off the race on a track and then finish on a track, which is always nice. And then the other fun thing to say, I forgot to say about this race, is that it's not on closed roads, and there's a few little road crossings, so that'll be quite interesting. I haven't done one of those for a while. It's a really cool little local race basically, and yeah, I'm really interested to see how it goes with the hills, the road crossings, just something a bit different from the kind of, you know, the usual smashing around the centre of a city on those roads on the flat. This is a little bit more of a test of pacing and judgment. Well, that went very well. Just won the race there. Did something like a 1:13:45ish, I think, something like that. On what was a pretty hilly course, so I judged it quite well. It's about 180 metres of elevation, up and down 2 laps. Yeah, paced the first lap pretty sensibly, then went for it a bit in the second half. And I'm going to say, not always easy to be objective when you've won a race, but I really rated the Adios Pro 2s today. They were absolutely fantastic. They felt so cushy and protective, especially some long downhill sections where, you know, you might be hammering your quads a bit. They felt really good, really fast. On the uphills, they didn't feel bulky. I was a bit worried because there's a lot of shoe here, you know, a bit like the Alpha in a way. Like, sometimes feel when you're going up hills, it's a bit too much, but actually I didn't feel like that at all. And there were some fairly long uphill stretches. The whole way, I just felt like I was getting a lot back from them. And then when I was able to put the hammer down, it was like a long downhill stretch to the finish, about a mile, which is quite nice. I was able to put a lot through them and get, you know, a lot of spring, a lot of protection, and my legs feel really good now. Like, even at the end of that, obviously raced yesterday as well. You know, pretty tiring day all round yesterday, and I feel fresh. Like, I'm pretty actually blown away by how good they were in that race test. It was a well-paced race. That helped, obviously, that I felt good for most of the race, felt in control, and that's always nice, and it helps the feeling of a shoe. But genuinely thought they were the bee's knees, the cat's pajamas, if you will. So yeah, please, I'll have maybe a bit more think about it and do a little wrap up comparing the two shoes, how they felt. But the Adios Pro 2 certainly delivered today. Felt very much like a top flight racer, you know, kind of way you sometimes feel when you're running the Vapefly, the Alphafly, the Met Speed Sky. Yeah, probably even better than I expected they were going to be today. So yeah, very pleased. One other thing to say before the wrap up, quick word on the race was, so yeah, it was really good. Like, it's these little, you know, local club events are really cool. They're not so many around anymore. It's nice to go and do them. You know, I wasn't on closed roads. I did a couple of road crossings, which were very well done by the marshals. So yeah, the Roding Valley Half is a cool little event. You know, everyone knows about big city events by now, but sometimes it's nice to go and run, you know, little events near you and just see what they're like. And they're often really well run. They've been around, nice proud heritage, good club tradition, worth turning up to. Okay, home now. Race is done. Quick wrap up on the two shoes, and I guess the top line kind of feeling I have from this weekend is that the Adios Pro 1 felt like a very fast shoe to me in the 10k, but the Adios Pro 2 felt like a super shoe today, like in the half marathon. Just feel like it had that extra bit of kind of efficiency, protection, bounce, all the kind of things, you know, you really look for in those kind of super shoes. And this, I think, is a great shoe. And when we did the testing for the Pro 2 review, I found that down on the track, I like the feel of this a bit more, kind of doing 400 metre reps to this. And it might just be kind of that I get a bit more kind of up on my midfoot in this shoe on the 400 metre reps. And generally I'm a heel striker, and certainly today, like on a long half marathon, I've been heel striking, and I feel like the shoe maybe has a slightly better, smoother transition for me, and certainly just helps you keep rolling along, and just, you know, feeling strong. I had so much strength towards the end of that race, you know, despite there was a back-to-back, and, you know, there's a bit of hills kind of going on in the course. I just felt it helps that I paced well today quite well and paced yesterday not that well, but I really did feel like this was kind of delivered in all the same ways that I get from things like the Alphafly and the Vaporfly and the Meta Speed Sky, whereas this felt like a fast shoe and a really good shoe. But, you know, and at the end of the race yesterday, like I said, I was talking about it in the kind of 10k wrap up, I did, you know, reach and have a little bit of pace there, and I wasn't sure, maybe I could have gone out a bit harder, or maybe I was just really going to blow up hard, I don't know. I just felt a little bit less confident in this shoe at the end of that race, whereas after the race today, I'm going to, you know, can't wait to get out in this again. So yeah, that's kind of where I've ended up after the two races. I still think they're both good shoes, and maybe this just suits a different running style a bit better than it does my style, whereas this seems to be maybe slightly more just kind of smooth and comfortable, protective, but you have still got that slight stability worry if you're running slowly in it. But most time people are going to be running at race pace in it, their race pace. I think if it's you're running at your race pace, I think you should feel it to be quite a stable shoe, hopefully. But yeah, I had a fun weekend, did 2 races, got a nice bit of bling today. That's always a nice feeling. And yeah, got a chance to test 2 really cool shoes. I think they're both great shoes, but I actually was surprised at how well the Adios Pro 2 performed today, untied legs. And I think it's genuinely great, a really great shoe that I'm going to be excited to do some more racing in. Just keep testing and testing and testing, and we'll keep letting you know the results of those tests. That's it, guys. That's the double race weekend review of the 2 Adios Pro shoes. Let us know what you think in the comments. Have you been racing in these shoes? Do you have a preference between the 2 of them? Please like, subscribe, ring the little bell, and we will see you next time. Cheers.